Did you hear the news? A bombshell announcement just dropped that could put thousands of extra dollars in the pockets of millions of American seniors. That's right. A new bill working its way through Congress right now could deliver the biggest boost to Social Security benefits we've seen in decades. But is it too good to be true? Who qualifies? And when could you see this money hit your account? Stay tuned, because I'm breaking down everything you need to know about this game-changing legislation that could transform retirement for millions of Americans. Before we dive into all the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss critical updates about your Social Security benefits. And if you know someone who depends on Social Security, share this video with them right away. This information is just too important to miss. The news that's sending shockwaves through Washington and giving hope to millions of seniors across America came last week when a bipartisan group of lawmakers introduced what they're calling the Senior Security Enhancement Act. This landmark legislation aims to address what many experts have been warning about for years, that Social Security benefits simply haven't kept pace with the true cost of living for America's seniors. With inflation hitting record highs and prescription drug prices continuing to climb, millions of older Americans have been struggling to make ends meet, even with their monthly Social Security checks. So what exactly does this new bill propose? At its core, the legislation would implement a new formula for calculating the annual cost of living adjustment, or COLA, that Social Security recipients receive. For decades, these adjustments have been based on the Consumer Price Index for Urban Wage Earners and Clerical Workers, or CPIW. The problem? This index doesn't accurately reflect the spending patterns of seniors, who typically spend a much higher percentage of their income on healthcare, prescription medications, and housing than younger Americans. Instead, the new bill would base COLAs on the Consumer Price Index for the Elderly, or CPIE, which specifically tracks the spending patterns of Americans aged 62 and older. According to preliminary estimates, this change alone could increase the average Social Security benefit by $1,200 to $2,400 per year for most recipients. But that's not all. The legislation also includes a one-time catch-up payment designed to compensate seniors for years of what advocates call inadequate COLAs. You might be wondering, is this really going to happen? Haven't we heard promises about Social Security reform before? It's a fair question. The political landscape is always complicated when it comes to Social Security. But what makes this bill different is the surprising level of bipartisan support it's receiving. With midterm elections approaching and inflation becoming a top concern for voters across the political spectrum, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle seem motivated to take action. Senator Martha Johnson, one of the bill's co-sponsors, put it bluntly in a press conference last Tuesday. "This isn't about politics, it's about dignity. Our seniors worked hard their whole lives, paid into the system, and deserve to retire with security, not constant financial anxiety." Even longtime fiscal conservatives, who have traditionally opposed benefit increases, are signaling openness to the proposal, particularly after seeing how inflation has eroded purchasing power for those on fixed incomes. But let's get to what you're really wondering. How much more money could this mean for you or your loved ones? While the exact amount would vary based on your current benefit level, preliminary analyses from the Congressional Budget Office suggest that the average Social Security recipient could see their monthly check increase by $100 to $200 once the new COLA formula is implemented. And that doesn't include the one-time catch-up payment, which could range from $1,400 to $3,000, depending on how long you've been receiving benefits. For millions of seniors, this isn't just extra spending money. It's the difference between choosing between medication and groceries or being able to afford both. It could mean keeping the heat on during winter months or being able to repair that leaking roof. For the approximately 40% of seniors who rely on Social Security for more than half of their income, these increases could be truly life-changing. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. What about the Social Security Trust Fund? Won't this make it run out of money faster? It's a legitimate concern. According to the most recent trustees report, the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be depleted by 2034, at which point the program would only be able to pay about 78% of scheduled benefits from ongoing payroll tax revenue. However, the new bill also includes provisions to strengthen Social Security's long-term financial outlook. These include gradually raising the cap on income subject to Social Security taxes, which currently stands at $160,200 for 2023. By slowly increasing this cap over a 10-year period, the legislation would bring in additional revenue from higher income earners without raising tax rates on middle and working-class Americans. So, when could these changes take effect? If the bill passes in its current form, the new COLA formula would be implemented for the 2026 benefit year, with the first increased payments hitting bank accounts in January 2026. The one-time catch-up payment would come even sooner, potentially within 90 days of the bill being signed into law. But here's where I need to inject a note of caution. The bill still needs to pass both the House and Senate and be signed by the President. While momentum seems strong, nothing is guaranteed in Washington. That's why advocacy groups representing seniors are urging people to contact their representatives and senators to express support for the legislation. What questions should you be asking right now? First, do you need to apply for these increased benefits? The answer is no. If the bill passes, the increases would automatically be applied to your existing benefits. You wouldn't need to fill out any paperwork or make any calls. Second, would these increases affect other benefits you might receive, such as supplemental security income, SSI, or Medicare assistance? Based on the current language of the bill, the benefit increases would not count against eligibility thresholds for other programs, which means seniors wouldn't lose access to other vital support systems. The journey of this bill will likely have twists and turns in the coming weeks and months. Some lawmakers are pushing for even more generous increases, while others are advocating for additional provisions to strengthen Social Security's long-term solvency. What seems clear, however, is that after years of talking about Social Security reform, Washington finally appears ready to act. For America's seniors, who have weathered economic storms, a global pandemic, and now record inflation, this legislation represents not just financial relief, but recognition of their contributions to our society. As one advocate put it during congressional testimony, "These aren't handouts. These are earned benefits that seniors have paid for throughout their working lives." I'll be tracking this legislation closely and bringing you updates as it progresses through Congress. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any developments that could affect your financial future. And if you found this information valuable, please share it with friends and family members who rely on Social Security. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your financial security.